What was the message and the mood at halftime?
Calm, composure. We talk about our 4 DNA traits. When things get tough, that's what you do. You rely on your DNA traits. I was pretty excited at half because I said we're going to find out what kind of team we got. And I said this is it right here. This is our moment. You know, we've had moments in other games, and we're going to try to win one moment at a time in the second half. Nobody's going to go out there and score a 14-point touchdown. You're going to win one moment at a time, play by play. And when we lose a moment, we got to win the next moment. And they kind of bought into that, and the drive allowed us to get some momentum, and that was the difference in the game, the momentum in the second half.
Coach, it seemed like they were having some success early, getting some pressures. I guess what was the key to the adjustment, or if there was one?
Well, they didn't seem like they were getting pressure. I mean, they did a good job. You know, when you block 5 guys and you do 5 to 6 man protection, and they bring 4 to 5 guys, they're going to get pressure. You got to win quickly. You got to get the ball out. You got to have a good plan. You got to have guys to get the ball. You got to make them pay. You know, they made us pay. We pressured, and they made us pay there on probably the most pivotal play of the game was the first third down in the red area, and we pressured, and they had a really good call against that pressure. And then we missed about 5 tackles. So I mean, at the end of the day, is it what they did, or is it what we did? And their pressure was effective early, and then we made them pay for some of it, and we got a running game going. That was the biggest difference.
Don McLeod had 5 catches in the second half. Bowers had 4. Just what can you say about those 2 guys stepping up and making plays in the second half when your offense?
Again, I think of those 9, 6 of those or 7 of those were runs. You know, we had this conversation before. Remember? Yeah, those
I remember
runs.
it was.
That's good. So those were the catches that were runs. So that actually the run game worked a little more, and then the run game you don't recognize worked well too. So both those were good. We take a lot of pride in that because if we're going to struggle to run the ball, or if we're going to struggle to have healthy backs, we have to create it other ways.
Do you expect Dejan to be that effective first game back?
Absolutely. I would expect Dejan to be that effective last week, this week, or next week. He's a good back. He's a tough football player, and we're fortunate that he was healthy today.
What was the injury for Marius, and what did you make of how the offensive line played once he went out?
Well, they practice that way all the time, so it's kind of what we do. You know, we put the next man up, and I don't know, it's an ankle sprain. I don't know how significant. No clue. Seems like ankle sprains all over the country right now because everybody's got ankle sprains. We got ankle sprains everywhere, but I don't know how significant it is, so we'll find out. But I was proud of Truss being able to bounce out there and play. If you remember Truss's history, he's been out there and played. I guess 2 years ago, 3 years ago. He's played out there before, and I can't say how he played, but we were able to run the ball.
Coach, it seems like Michael Williams had several, almost a dozen different pressures today. Just kind of talk about it.
Really good pass rusher, man. He's our most dynamic rusher. You probably saw it better than me. I was watching the coverage, but I felt like he was back there a lot, and he's going to have to be effective for us in order to get pressure.
Kirby, three games in a row, you guys have had slow starts. What can you put your finger on, what you've seen out there?
We adjust well at halftime, and we play really good in the second half.
What can you say about the first half?
I can say that we're going to play good in the second half. We're going to try to figure out what's going on in the first half. I thought that we created an identity today in how we came out and played in the second half. And give them credit and say, hey, good job. What can we do better? And try to keep adjusting and keep getting better. I mean, I thought their quarterback was on rhythm, and you got to do something to get him off rhythm. He was very effective that first drive. And, you know, we gave up 2 plays that we shouldn't give up. The big post to 17 on the second touchdown drive, and then the third, I don't know, third forever. And we gave up a big play. I just give them a lot of credit for that, less than us.
1 possession in the first quarter, 4 total in the first half. How much of that is the new clock rules, and how much of that is their ability to matriculate the ball out in the field today?
Both. I mean, they play with pace. I mean, for them to play with pace, it's a long drive. You got to get off the field. And I told them, I said, you know, look, we're going to get 6 possessions in the second half. I don't know how many we're going to get. So we're going to get 6 possessions, and we're going to have to score on 4 out of 6. And we're going to win one moment at a time, and we're going to go out and do it over and over and again. And I mean, outside of the possessions that ended in field goals in the second half that we ended up missing, but outside of that, I thought we did really well with our possessions.
Kirby, how concerned are you about the kicking game and what you've seen in these first 3 games?
Well, I've seen better in practice. You know, he's been really consistent in practice, you know, I don't know, we'll go back, watch the tape, look at it, and continue to reevaluate it because we got to do something there. We got to be able to score points. I'd like to not have to kick those field goals. That's the first answer.
Going back to Dejan, just what did you see from him today, and how much of a boost is it for you guys when you have him?
Well, it's huge. He makes people miss in the hole. He gets yards after contact. He's very confident, he's an experienced player, he's tough. He's just a traditional Georgia high school football player, that's a really good player, from a really tough area, and effective runner. Great job.
Coach Marvin Thomas had a couple of big plays, especially on that first drive in the second half. What was it like seeing his progression and now he's making an impact on the field for you?
Yeah, I thought he had his best week of practice last week, and we got to find ways to get him the ball and use him and use his skill set. And then that second half, his number got called twice. He made both the plays. It's a great job.
What was your initial assessment of David Daniels' play with Javon being out?
I don't know, because there's a couple plays where he played a little high, a little hesitant, but I do think he got better as the game went on. Played better, and Dan played too. So those guys both played in that position with JB being out. And I thought they stepped up big time. That was a tough game to go into for your first start.
Kendall Milton left the game with an injury, and then Marvin Jones Jr. wasn't out there today. What's the update on him?
Yeah, so Kendall had, I'm not sure, I think they had taped him up and were saying that he might go to come back. I want to say it was MCL, but I'm not sure. And we had Dylan and Dejan being able to go, and Marvin's dealing with a little bit of a sickness there, and I hope we get him back this week.
Can we say how important it is for you guys to face adversity and how you respond? You talked a little bit about the identity, so what specifically did you see and learn about your team tonight?
Did they answer the bell? There's lots that we can talk about. They got to do better. Lots. Starting fast, starting better. What's causing it? Why are we doing it? And the world has questions and all these things. And you know what? I found out a lot more about my team today than I did any other day this year. And I'm just thrilled that when I came to the locker room, they were committed to each other. They were talking about what they got to do better. Offense was over here, defense was over there. Everybody was bickering. Complete control, calm, amongst the storm. They responded.
What did you say about Carson Beck and how he responded just to being pressured so much during this game?
I did a good job. I don't even know what his numbers ended up being, but 27 or 35. Is that what he was? Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. So many of those runs, but that's the deal, and that's what he's done well. And he throws the ball down the field well. And I thought he got rid of the ball when he had to. He made plays with his feet. He took off running and made plays. So Carson has done a tremendous job being the commander and leader of this offense. And does he have to get better? Yeah. He had some throws that were a little bit inaccurate, but very pleased with what Carson's done.